Hello guys, and welcome back to our front-end web development course. In this class we're going to be talking about hooks in React, and as a starter we'll focus on use effect. Then in subsequent classes we'll check out other common hooks that are available in React. As you know, React is a JavaScript framework and almost everything is in JS. Hooks in React are just functions that give you access to React functionalities. React is reactive, that's why they call it React. And when something is reactive, what it simply means is you touch me, I respond. You do this to me, I respond. So if based on changes in your DOM or in your variable values, your DOM can also change. That's why it is reactive. Now, one of the functionalities that React has is the state property. So when your state is updated, by default your React DOM would re-render. So this is what is simply happening. When you go back to your code here, we don't have a state yet, but once we had a state variable here, anytime the state changes for whatever reason, this old component will render and it will pick out the new change from the state. If it's being used, it will show it in your view. How do you call how do you call state variables in React? This is the anatomy of your state hook. You'll have a constant, that's you are declaring it. Your state, comma, a function that can update your state. It's usually called, let's say, set state. You close your angle bracket or your bracket, and then you now use the use state hook. Oh, sorry, let me just write it here again. Use state. So let's go inside our code and use state. The first thing you do in your code is to import use state from React. You know, we said that it is a React functionality. That means you are not the one setting up state for your local component. React has already done that. All you are saying is you are just calling that state and you are saying, I want to use it. I want to put values in it. When I put values in it, when I change it for whatever reason in my function, I want my my view to re-render. So people don't need to reload to see the new updates on your component, and I will explain what I mean very soon. Now, the first thing you do in React is when you import React, you also now import use state. If you remember in our JavaScript class, I talked about import and export. I talked about you could have default export and named export. React here is a default export. Use state here is a named export. That means you must always use the name it was exported with, which is use state. You have a question?
So you import this on every component?
Yes, in every component.
Is it possible that you can just import
it's not
from like maybe index?
No. You have to import it and use it in your component. You get? Yeah, you have to import this hook. Basically, React has created a state for every component you create with React. And every time that state changes, it knows that it's meant to re-render the view without you reloading. Look at this. There is a visible difference when you reload a page. You can see that there, if you check very well, you could see this icon, the browser icon. It's flashed for a while. It shows that there was a reload. If it's a page that is calling an API that is rendering so much data, you will see it loading and getting the data afresh. But with React, you'd never see that. That's why it's reactive. The moment there is a change, it renders the DOM without flickering. So what do I mean? When you import, more like I'm borrowing this functionality from React, I want to use it, please give it to me. And you remember this hook is a function, that means I can call the function. You remember to call a function? So now I want to assign that hook from React to, that's the use state hook, and this is how I call it with my I'm making some mistake. Okay, the useState hook. How do you call it? Open and close brackets. And then inside your brackets, an array, right? Because this useState hook will always return an array to you. It will return the state variable. It will also return a function to update that state variable. So let's call it company. I'm looking for something very simple for now. Let's call it page title. You can have multiple useState hooks. Then you have set page title, right? Okay, title, whatever I call it is what it becomes. Now, just like your prop that is an object that can take in different data types, your states too can take in different data types. So page title is a text. It can take in a string. So you can decide to put the page title here from the beginning and call it, you can put the value inside the useState function. Can you see? And call it about us. Now, how do you use this state variable in your code? Come to your render. You know, this is your header. After your header, you can say paragraph instead of use h3, and then say use your string literal, right? Or you don't need that since you're in a return. Just say this is the, then use JavaScript, open and close brackets. What's the name of that state again? Page title. This is page title page, right? So you can also store variables in states, just like you can declare it in a normal JavaScript file, right? In a normal JavaScript function, you can declare a variable. Now you are declaring this variable, but you are saving it in states, and someone else can come within this function and update this state. Just like normally in JavaScript functions where you have let name be of Apple, and then another function that changes name, function change name. When you call it, it will now change name to Damilare. Same way you have in this React component, you have a state that the default is about us, and you have a function set page title that can always update this page title. Now look at it. It's something similar to this. You have, please take a look at this. You have let name be equal to Obasanjo, right? And then you have a function, you call it change name. You're now saying this function change name, right? Let it now change name to what can we call it now? Change it to Abdul Salam. Now when you call change name and you console.log name, what will happen? Sorry, we are missing out something. Oh, sorry, constant. Oh, you wanted to say it. Why didn't you say that? Now, what has happened? But the name is Obasanjo. We have called a function that changed this name. It's exactly the same thing that has happened here. We said this is name. This is a function that can change name, but by default we call it about us page. Does it make sense? Now look at how React has made life easy for you. To do all this, you need to write something this long. React is saying you don't need to stress yourself. Declare the variable here. Give the function that will be changing it. Give the function that will be changing it a name, and call the useState hook. useState will keep saving the variable for you. Every time you call this function, whatever you want to do there, it will update the page title a constant with the new value. useState is like a local storage for your variables. Does that make sense? And it can save any data type. It can save string, it can save number, just like we had when we did props. It can save objects, it can save array. Right? Now, we have said this is the page title page, right? This is the about us page. Now, when in our previous class, when we for props, we said that when someone in the company page clicks on apply application form, right, it should alert. Let's go back to this and say that someone wants to enroll, the name of the person wants to enroll. Take note that just like your function here, it could have taken in the name instead of changing it directly like this, and it could have taken new name as an argument, right? Then we could say name is equal to what? New name. Then when we are calling the function, we'll now pass the new name as the argument, right? And I can now say Cindy Olorunla. I know you might not know that's a name in my language, guys. So, can you see this? Cindy Olorunla. Okay. Same thing with your React set state function. It can also take in arguments and update your constants. Is it making sense? Are you trying to compare it with how JavaScript functions work, right? Now, in this apply to enroll, we said that once someone in the chat component clicks on this button, apply to enroll should alert. But let's now also tell apply to enroll, right, to change the name. Let's just say unknown student applicant. Unknown student applicant. Now, unknown students. Let's change it to applicants. Right? Applicants. Then set applicants. Just for convention purposes, that's why we wrote set applicant. You could have given the function any name. It will assign that function to always update this state variable. Does that make sense? So when they click on the button, we are now saying, do you know what? Set applicant as the new name. Set applicant as name. This is in the parent component. This is the name is coming from the child component, which is Cindy, right? Now, every time, look at what happens, and please take notes very well. What do we have here? This is the about page. Let me move it down. This is the application page. Let's change it to application page now. Application page. Wait, application, is it double L or double P? Okay, double P. This is the application page. Okay, this is the application page on non-student applicants. For now, let's hide the things we have in company because we want to do something else. Okay, so all we have here is this is the application page, and we have unknown student applicants, and you know why? Because the first unknown student applicants was here. Okay, so please look at this. Now, look at what happens, please. I need you to take note. When I click on apply to one of our courses, right, it will call the apply to enroll function, pass a name as argument to it, alert the name wants to enroll, and also set the applicant's name in our useState hook. So look at what we have now. Once I click on apply to one of our courses, it says Cindy wants to enroll. Now you will observe that our page will not reload at all, and this unknown student will change to Cindy. This unknown student here will change to Cindy. This is the beauty of React, its reactivity and the useState and the hooks that are available. Does that make sense? So let me go over it again. With the useState hook, there are several hooks, but we are focusing on the useState hook in React. You can save variable values, JavaScript variable values, with a name and a function that can update them. And see, all we did was we just said set applicant with this name, and applicant was no longer unknown student, it's now name. And you realize that for the what do you call, is it life cycle, for the lifetime of this app, until there is a reload, as long as there is no reload, it will not lose that state, it will keep it in its local storage. So the applicant's name would be Cindy always until there is a reload, and it's more like a factory reset. A reload for this React app will return it to factory reset. You now have unknown student was here. When we click again, Cindy wants to enroll, Cindy was here. Now let's make it a bit more interesting. Let's make it a bit more interesting. Let's go into our child component. Let's have an input field here. Now you know we add state in the parent component. Let's also have the state in the child component. Let's get the name of the student from an input field, and let's send it using this application form prop, which is has been assigned to this apply to enroll function in the parent, and see what happens in our parent. Now this is the sweetness of React. You can pass data from one component to another, and you see it reflect in your view or your DOM in real time. That's why React is reactive. Okay, let's have an input. Now, do you know the meaning of the word, the name React? Right? Now, let's have an input field. Input. Let's also import useState here, right? Since we are also using state. Is that agreed? So, useState. Then you come here and constant student name. Open your brackets, student name, right? Then the function to always update your student name. What do you call it? Set student name. You can call it any name, don't forget, but for convention purposes, it looks good this way. useState. You have borrowed that hook from React, and you can do anything with it. You can leave it empty for now, since it's a string. Don't forget, this thing can take in different data types, just like a normal JavaScript data types, and you update it with a function. That's all. So probably in subsequent classes, we'll talk more about updating objects, arrays. Those are the ones that are a bit complex, but updating string is just putting it in the function brackets, and it's updated. Okay. Now, in our input, the value will be student's name, right? Our HTML input has a value prop. Sorry, attribute. Is React that uses prop. HTML will use attribute, right? So input text value student. Let's just say placeholder. You still remember all these things, right? Oluwadamisi Adeopemeji. Then that's a placeholder. Then now on change, you know I told you about JavaScript events. There is an onChange attribute that input elements have. That means once they change the value inside me, do something. It's still a function too, right? So onChange is equal to this function. Now we want to call a function in the onChange attribute. See that I'm calling this function. The function is unnamed because we'll not be calling it. onChange will be calling it directly. So there's no need to give it a name. Does that make sense? Okay. So we are saying once there is an onChange, this onChange attribute takes in what we call an event. And the event has several keys and properties. For now, to get the value in the input field, you do event.target.value. You are saying for that event there can be several targets, but this particular target I'm talking about, the value they put inside, give it to me. So now you say set student name, right, as event.target.value. So that means every time there is change, right, it will set this guy to whatever is being typed. To see what we are talking about, I can log console.log the student name. Now, let's go back to our browser. Student. I guess I need to type it out. Student name. Let's go to our browser. You remember how to inspect, right? Then you go to your console. Remember? Now look at this. Every time I type in a name, Oluwa, you don't need to type whatever is in the placeholder. It's just, you know that already. But I like the name, so I want to type it again. Oluwadamisi. Can you see? On every change, I'm saving that change in my states. So anytime I log state, is the recent value that is now in the state. I'm using this function, right? Here, in my onChange handler, in my input element. You can see that here to update this state variable. And when I logged it here, I'm seeing the latest update. That's why React is reactive. Can you see? I had a space at the Meiji. Can you see that? Now, but if I still click apply to one of our courses, it's still showing Cindy wants to enroll. But that's not what I want. So what should I do? At this point where I am on the button on click handler, you can see I use onChange here. There are several events in JavaScript. onChange, onClick, on key press, on a whole lot, on hover. Now I am saying that this onClick handler, when you are sending data to application form, when you are sending an argument, don't use this Cindy that I had coded. What should you use now? Is it making sense? So the data was saved in store in the child component. I retrieved it from the store using the useState hook, right? I put it in a function that was passed as props from the parent component. I will send it to that function in the parent component. I will now ask the parent to do something with that value and update its own view. Now, you might think this is one view. No, this part is the parent. No, this part is the parent. This part is the child. When I update this, the whole page updates, but it's actually the parent that is updating. Does that make sense? So let's go again. The new name, let me delete. You can see, I hope you can see here as the change is occurring. And this is your state, your React state that is logging here for you. So let's start again. Let's say Ife Adediran. Now let's apply to one of our courses. The moment I click apply to one of our courses, it says if Adediran wants to enroll, no longer Cindy, because we no longer had coded Cindy. Now it's based on whatever is inputted here that we got this, right? Because we said our function apply to enroll should alert the name wants to enroll. Then it should now set, we have another state in parent. Now we have two states, one state in parent, one state in child. The update to the state in child, when it is sent to the button, the function that the onClick handler of the button has presented to it, he sends that same data to parent. Parent comes up here to set the name in his own state too. and then because it has been added as a in this render, in this return what's it called, tag, JSS tags, as the change occurs, it updates automatically. Again, I say that is why React is reactive. So the moment it shows if Adediran wants to excel, the next thing it's going to do is it will set applicant's name as what? As if Adediran, and then it will update the view. Here we go. It's React Now code. So for every change, you see a change. We could say Jasper wants to enroll. To make it sweeter, and let's remove the alerts. You can comment it out with a // and say Rihanna wants to enroll. Rihanna was here. Does this make sense, somebody? So can we quickly do something with a state that's an object? And you can have multiple useState hook calls. So you can, number one, your hook must be called in a function. Can you see? It cannot be called outside a function. What's this error message? React hook useState cannot be called at the top level. React hooks must be called in a React function component or a custom React hook function. Does that make sense? Okay, beautiful. Let's create another state. This time around, I want it to be an object, constant. Yep, beautiful. We'll use our company data now. I want to hide this again. Yeah, I'll hide this for now, and then I'll use this. I'll add application form as part of the props. Then I will hide this for now and come back to it later. So now this company data that was an object, I want to now make it a state variable. Does that make sense? I will now use company data and then set company data. You can see this. I borrowed the useState hook from React. I still don't know why this thing goes to the next line every time. And then I set it as an empty object for the initialization, right? No. Yeah, I declared the variable 2 times. Let's have a button here that says show company data. That makes sense, right? Show company data. We are now saying on click. This is another event we are using again on button. We are saying on click. What do we want to achieve? We want to update this guy, right? So we are saying on click. Your on click will always say a function it can call by itself. This is the function it can call. The only difference is we did not give it a name. It's not a named function, right? But that on click method will always take in a function. So we are saying set company data. This is another function that can take in any value you put. So we are putting in that object here. Right? So now let's use this company data state variable. We'll now say looking for the best way to do this. Sorry. Yep. So I've added company data to this what's it called, components. So we can come back here. We have all the props. Let's come back here. So this will throw us some errors, but this is how we'll do it. I want to make it easy for you. Let's do this. If there is company name, show the company name or show an empty string. If there is this, show leaders, the leader one. There's a better way, but for now let's go with this. If there is leaders, the leader 2, show leaders, the leader 2, or an empty string. If there is courses, then run courses.map. This is fine. So let's go ahead. What we have done, let me explain again, is we are saying we can decide to show company data here by clicking this button. Do you get? So until we click company data, it's not going to show us anything. Leader in company, sorry, let's quickly fix that. Reading leader 1. Okay, so now unknown student was here, and you see that we are talking about here, the name of the company is not there. The company has staff members and it's not complete. It just looks weird. So let's start with this first one. We can say as a student we want to apply, we can say Femi Kuti is the name of the student. Kuti is the name of the student. I will say apply to one of our courses, and then it now says Femi Kuti was here. We have updated the student's name state in our parent component. Now when we update the show company data, it will send the recent data in our state that we did to the child component, and this place too will be updated. I'm just showing you how you can pass data around. This data came from the child to the parent, and the parent view was updated. Now we want to create update a state in our parent and allow the child to be updated. Shall we go ahead? So when you click show company data, what happened? We are talking about Nima outsourcing here. The company has 100 staff members and is run by Daimler and Ayatunde. Of our courses are this. Based on how we updated our how we updated our company data here. Does that make sense? This is how to use the useState hook in React. You create a variable and then assign a function that can update the variable. You keep it in state, and you can always update your state. Based on your state update, your view is also updated. Thank you for your time and your patience.